Okay, so today we're gonna dive into something that I think we can all relate to,
Oh, yeah.
which is the panic
Mm.
that ensues when office tech decides to completely go haywire.
Yes.
It's like the printer jams right before a big meeting, or the elevator takes you to like the wrong floor.
It's always the worst possible time.
The worst possible time.
Right.
Like Murphy's Law of Office Equipment.
Exactly.
But what's interesting is we're going to be exploring this topic through the lens of an English language learning podcast.
Oh, wow.
So talk about finding inspiration in the most unexpected places.
Yeah, it's really interesting how you can take something as simple as a language lesson,
Right.
and it can become a window into like so much more,
Yeah.
our relationship with technology,
Yeah.
the subtle dynamics,
Right.
the language we use in the workplace,
Yeah.
and maybe even some insights into how we as humans cope when it all goes wrong.
Exactly. And you would think that we would be safe from like these tech troubles in a podcast that's designed to teach English.
Right.
But even there, like the photocopier becomes like this major character.
It really does.
I'm curious from your perspective, what can we learn about like the evolution of office technology from this and how it's impacted our productivity and also our communication?
Well, the source material brings up some vocabulary like out of toner, on your way up, and break down.
Yeah.
And these are not just like everyday phrases. They reveal a lot about how we navigate
Right.
the workplace.
Yes.
So take, for instance, out of toner.
Okay.
It seems pretty straightforward on the surface,
Yeah.
but often it's a coded message, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
It's very rarely just a neutral statement of fact.
Exactly.
There's like this unspoken plea for someone to like swoop in and fix the situation.
Totally.
Like it's interesting how we use language to avoid directly asking for help.
It's subtle,
Yeah.
but it's effective.
Yeah.
And I think it speaks to the power dynamics that are at play in the office environment.
Yeah.
We're always trying to get things done
Right.
without, stepping on anyone's toes
Yeah.
or like overstepping boundaries.
Right.
On your way up is another good example.
Okay.
It's a way of making a request sound less demanding,
Yeah.
almost as if you're doing someone a favor by letting them help you.
Yeah. Right.
Really clever.
It is.
Yeah.
It's like this whole language of indirectness
Right.
designed to keep things running smoothly.
Yes.
Until the photocopier jams, of course.
Yeah, until the photocopier jams.
Right.
Speaking of which, this English lesson actually uses a skit about an office in complete meltdown.
Oh, no.
So like the photocopiers are spitting out blank pages.
Oh, my gosh.
The elevator's out of commission.
That's the worst.
And everyone's running around like a chicken with his head cut off.
Yeah.
And one of the characters even jokes that it's a practical joke because the chaos seems so perfectly timed.
It does.
Have you ever felt like that?
Absolutely.
Like technology is deliberately conspiring against you all the time.
It's so
It
frustrating.
really is. It's that feeling of helplessness,
Right. Right.
when the tools that we rely on so heavily suddenly turn against us.
Yes.
I think it highlights this much bigger issue,
Which is?
our growing dependence on technology,
Yeah.
even for like the simplest of tasks.
Right?
And the skit, while it's humorous, I think it raises this important question.
Okay.
If a simple printer jam can throw our whole day off,
Yeah.
how prepared are we for bigger tech disruptions?
Right.
Ones that could affect our jobs,
Yes.
our privacy,
Yeah.
or even our safety.
That's a great question and something I don't think people think about enough.
Yeah,
It's a very sobering thought,
it is.
but also incredibly relevant in today's world.
Absolutely.
And while we're talking about those pesky photocopiers, I have to mention a fun detail from the podcast.
Okay.
So the English teacher reveals that her uncles are actually copier technicians.
Oh, wow.
And I just love those little personal touches, Yeah.
Make a topic come alive.
Absolutely.
And it got me thinking,
Okay.
what's really going on inside those machines?
Well, it's more than just toner running out,
Right.
although that is a frequent culprit.
Yeah.
There are all these intricate mechanisms inside.
Right.
Rollers that wear out,
Oh.
sensors that get confused,
All right.
and even software glitches that
Yeah.
can bring the whole operation to a halt.
Really?
It's actually quite fascinating
Wow.
how many things can go wrong.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I've always wondered, is there any truth to the idea that cheap toner
Yeah,
can actually damage the machine.
absolutely.
Really?
It's kind of like using the wrong fuel in your car.
Oh, okay.
Cheap toner might seem like a bargain,
Right.
but it can lead to all sorts of problems.
Like what?
Clogs, leaks,
Oh.
and even damage to the delicate imaging components.
Oh, wow.
So understanding the nuances of toner,
Yeah.
and investing in quality
Okay.
can actually save you money and hassle in the long run. That's a really good tip.
Yeah.
It's a perfect example of how sometimes, going for the cheapest option
Mhm.
isn't always the best approach.
No, not at all.
But let's go back to this idea of technology dependence.
Okay.
I think what really gets to most people is that feeling of being at technology's mercy.
Totally.
Like, we just expect it to work flawlessly.
Yeah.
And when it doesn't, it's like this little mini rebellion against our carefully planned schedules and workflows.
Right. It's like we've built our entire lives around the assumption
Right.
that technology will always be there,
Yeah.
always be reliable.
And always work.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's not necessarily a bad thing,
Mm-hmm.
but it does make us vulnerable
Right.
when things inevitably go wrong.
Exactly. And it's inevitable that technology will fail us at some point.
Yes, at some point it will.
So,
I think these moments of breakdown
yeah.
are actually opportunities
Okay.
to confront our own limitations as humans.
So what do you mean by that?
Well, we rely so heavily on technology to solve our problems
Yes.
that when it fails us,
Right.
we have to tap into our own problem-solving skills.
Right.
And that can be, it can be a humbling experience.
Yeah, it can be a very humbling experience.
Right.
It forces us to think outside the box
Yes.
and get creative.
Exactly.
And maybe even resort to...
I can't believe I'm going to say this.
I'm scared to hear it.
Pen and paper.
Oh, the horror.
The horror.
But that's for part 2 of our deep dive.
Stay tuned. It's kind of funny how these, seemingly insignificant meltdowns,
Yeah.
with office tech can actually reveal some larger societal trends.
Oh, really?
Mm.
I'm all ears. Tell me more. What kind of trends?
Well, I think the fact that we get so flustered by,
Uh-huh.
a broken photocopier
Uh-huh.
or a slow internet connection,
Right.
it really speaks volumes about how deeply integrated technologies become
Right.
in our everyday lives,
I think you're right. It's not even just about the inconvenience. It's
Yeah.
that feeling of being disconnected.
It's like almost cut off from the world.
Yeah, and I think this dependence goes way beyond the workplace. It kind of permeates every aspect of our lives, from communication, entertainment, transportation,
Healthcare.
healthcare. Exactly.
Yeah.
We rely on these complex systems
Yeah.
often without even realizing it
Right.
until they fail us.
Until they fail us, right?
Right.
So what you're saying is these little office tech meltdowns are like,
I think they're like microcosms
yeah.
of a much larger shift
Okay.
in how we live
Yeah.
and interact with the world.
I like that. Yeah, I think that's a really good point.
And what's even more interesting is
Yeah.
that this dependence on technology is only going to increase
Right.
in the future.
Yeah, of course.
Artificial intelligence, automation, the Internet of Things.
Oh, yeah, all the buzzwords?
Exactly, all the buzzwords.
Yeah.
These advancements are blurring the lines even further
Between?
between the physical
Yeah.
and digital worlds. Right. And it makes you wonder, are we destined to become slaves to technology?
That's a good question. I don't think necessarily slaves,
Okay.
but it definitely underscores the importance of developing certain skills
Okay.
and mindsets.
To navigate this increasingly tech-driven world.
Exactly.
For example, what can we do to prepare ourselves for this future that you're talking about?
Well, I think adaptability is key.
Okay.
We need to be able to learn new technologies quickly
Right.
and adjust to, these changing circumstances.
It's like learning a new language almost.
It is. It's exactly like learning a new language.
Right.
The more flexible you are
Yeah.
and open to new ways of doing things,
Uh-huh.
the better equipped you'll be to thrive
Right.
in this rapidly changing environment.
I think so too. I also think problem-solving skills are going to be super important.
Absolutely essential.
Yeah, because when technology fails, we need to be able to think critically,
Yes.
find workarounds,
Yes.
solutions.
It's about understanding that underlying logic
Yeah.
of how things work
Yeah.
rather than just memorizing a set of instructions.
Right.
Because those instructions might not always apply.
So it sounds like we need to become more tech-savvy in general.
I think so.
Not just passive consumers of technology,
Right.
but active participants who understand how it works.
Yes.
Its limitations, its potential impact on society.
Exactly. It's about taking ownership
Yes.
of our relationship with technology
I like that.
rather than letting it dictate our lives.
Right.
We need to be, informed and engaged citizens
Yeah.
in this digital age.
Yeah, you've really got me thinking about this whole thing in a new light. It's
Yeah.
really empowering to think that we have a role to play
We do.
in shaping this future of technology.
We absolutely do. And it starts with being aware
Okay.
of the choices that we're making,
Okay.
both individually
Uh-huh.
and collectively.
What do you mean?
Well, what technologies are we supporting?
Right.
How are we using them? What are the ethical implications
Yeah,
of these choices?
that's a great point.
Yeah,
These are questions that we should all be asking
I think so.
ourselves.
Yeah.
This whole conversation has really shifted my perspective.
Well,
Like,
okay.
it's amazing how something as simple as a malfunctioning photocopier
Right.
can lead to these profound insights
It can.
about society and, our place in this technological landscape.
It's all about connecting the dots.
Yeah.
Seeing that bigger picture.
Mm-hmm.
Recognizing that even these small moments of frustration
Right.
can hold these valuable lessons.
If we're willing to look for them.
Yeah, exactly. If we're willing to look deeper.
Yeah, and I think it's like those moments of technological breakdown
Yeah.
force us to slow down,
Mhm.
reassess our priorities,
Yeah.
and really appreciate that delicate balance
Yes.
between our dependence on technology and our own human ingenuity.
You've hit the nail on the head.
I try.
It's all about finding that balance.
It is.
Embracing the benefits of technology,
Yeah.
but without losing sight
Yeah.
of our own human capabilities.
And let's be honest, sometimes you just have to laugh at the absurdity of it all.
Absolutely.
Technology can be so unpredictable, so quirky.
It can.
Sometimes the best way to deal with those frustrations is to find the humor in the situation.
I think that's a very healthy perspective.
Yeah.
It's a reminder not to take ourselves or technology too seriously.
Right.
At the end of the day, it's just a photocopier.
Just a photocopier.
Right.
But as you mentioned earlier, our reliance on technology is only going to increase.
It is.
What advice would you give to someone feeling overwhelmed
Okay.
by the pace of technological change?
That's a great question. I think first and foremost, you remember that you're not alone.
Okay.
We are all navigating this crazy,
Yeah.
rapidly evolving technological landscape together.
It can feel very isolating sometimes
It can.
when you're like, what am I doing? I don't understand.
And it's okay to feel overwhelmed at times
Right.
because technology is constantly changing.
It's impossible to keep up.
It is impossible to keep up with everything.
So it's comforting to know we're all in the same boat,
Yeah,
figuring it out.
exactly.
What
And remember, it's okay to be selective.
do you mean?
You don't have to be an expert in
Right.
every new gadget
Okay.
platform.
Or social media trend.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The key is to focus on learning
Okay.
the skills and concepts
Yeah.
that are most relevant to you,
Right.
your goals.
Okay. So it's about prioritizing and focusing on what's truly important
Yeah,
rather than trying to be like a jack of all trades
exactly.
in the tech world.
And don't be afraid to ask for help when you need it.
Right.
There are countless resources available,
Yeah.
like online tutorials, in-person workshops,
Right.
to help you develop
Yeah.
your tech skills at your own pace.
That's a good reminder that we're all on a learning journey
We are.
when it comes to technology.
Absolutely.
And it's okay to not have all the answers.
Yep.
And ultimately, I think it's important to remember that technology is a tool
Yes.
to enhance our lives, not control them.
100%.
Right. So use it wisely, be mindful of its limitations,
Yes.
and don't be afraid to unplug every now and then,
Exactly.
and reconnect with that analog world.
That's such good advice.
I think we've covered a lot of ground today,
We have.
from the inner workings of photocopiers
Yeah.
to the broader societal implications
Uh-huh.
of this tech-dependent world that we live in.
It's been a fascinating journey.
We has.
And it all started
I know.
with that simple English lesson.
About a malfunctioning photocopier.
Who knew
Right.
that learning a new language,
Could lead to such profound insights
I know it's amazing.
about technology society ourselves.
Oh, exactly.
It's a good reminder that learning can happen anywhere, anytime,
It can.
even in the most unexpected places.
So stay curious, stay engaged,
Yes.
and keep exploring the world with a sense of wonder and a little touch of humor.
I like that. I like that a lot.
You never know what you might discover.
Well, this has been the deep dive, folks.
Yes, it has.
We hope you've enjoyed this exploration
Yeah.
of the curious case
Yes.
of the exploding photocopier.
The exploding photocopier.
And remember, the next time you encounter a tech malfunction,
Yes.
take a deep breath,
Yeah.
channel your inner problem solver,
Yes.
and maybe even have a chuckle at the irony of it
I
all.
love that.
Because at the end of the day,
Yeah.
it's just technology.
It is just technology.
And we are the ones in control.
We are.
And don't forget to stay curious, stay adaptable,
Yes.
and keep exploring the ever-evolving world of technology.
Yes.
There's always something new to learn.
Always.
And who knows, maybe even a broken copy machine can lead to a fascinating journey of discovery.
It just might.
Right. Well, happy exploring, everyone.
Happy exploring.
It's funny, as we've been talking about, these office tech blunders and stuff, it's made me realize, like, how much our language has adapted to describe these really specific experiences.
That is an interesting point. It's as if technology has created, like, its own dialect.
Right. Like, think about it. Crashing,
Yeah.
bugging out, going viral.
Right.
These phrases have become so commonplace that we don't even think about where they came from.
We don't even, we barely even register their origin in, like, the tech world.
Right.
Yeah, it really is a form of linguistic evolution.
Wow.
Like new terms constantly popping up to capture the nuances of our digital lives.
Right.
We repurpose old words in clever ways, too.
Yeah.
We remember when a virus was just a biological threat.
Right.
Now it's equally likely to be wreaking havoc on your computer.
Yeah. And even the internet itself, we talk about surfing the web or falling down a rabbit hole. Like, we're borrowing from the physical world to describe these, like, really intangible digital concepts.
It is fascinating how language kind of bridges that gap between, our analog reality and this digital world that we spend so much time in.
Yeah, and I think this evolution of language
Yeah.
really speaks to how deeply technology has permeated our culture,
Absolutely.
our thinking,
Humor.
our humor,
Everything.
our whole way of being.
Yeah, it's almost as if technology has become like the lens through which we view everything now.
I think there's a lot of truth to that.
Yeah.
It influences how we perceive the world, how we interact, how we even process information.
Yeah.
It's become this, like, integral part of our cognitive landscape.
So where does this leave the future of language?